the season premiere book club episode. I am joined again by my guests from my previous episode. If you have not read their books, they're so good. We have Serial Killer Support Group, Trad Wife, and newest novel, The Last Time We Drowned. Please welcome Saratoga Schaefer. Saratoga, thank you for being here again.
Yes, thank you for having me again.
Now, do you read in the genre that you write, which for listeners is psychological thrillers and horror at the moment? Do you read in that genre while you're writing?
I do. I am sometimes careful because I tend to be kind of porous. And if
Mm.
I'm reading something, especially something that I'm really vibing with, and then I'm trying to write at the same time, it can sometimes mess up like my voice because I'll find myself trying to imitate the voice that I'm really enjoying and
Mm.
respecting. And then sometimes the book is not that good because it's not in my
Yeah.
voice. Um, so it kind of depends, but generally I don't have too much of an issue reading at the same time as I'm writing. But I read across all genres. I don't stick with just thriller and horror. I used to read almost exclusively thriller, and that's why I kind of came up in that genre.
Mm.
But I think with especially with certain genres like thriller or romance, if you read too much of them at the same time, you start to become kind of fatigued and you're
Mm.
just so familiar with the tropes and the plot beats and everything like that that it starts to feel repetitive, even if the story is fresh. So I kind of quickly learned to just read anything that interests me,
Mm.
regardless of genre or age range or anything like that. So I make a concerted effort to read across different genres, which I think is really important for writers and readers.
Yeah.
And I mean, from a writing perspective, it makes my work a lot stronger because I'm able to see how certain beats or characters are handled across different genres, which is really, really interesting.
And so, do you read more dark things like topics and themes because that's kind of what you write? Or are you a happy reader too and you're reading like a, very wholesome romance, you know?
I go through different stages and cycles. Like in the fall, I was reading a lot of cozy fantasy. Now I'm
Mm.
reading the first half of this year, I read a ton of romance. I'm still sort of on a romance kick. And
Okay.
I love pairing romance books with horror novels. I love going back and forth and reading like a
Oh,
horror book
okay.
and then a romance book, a horror book, and then a romance. There's no two genres I feel that fit better together than romance and horror. And
Okay.
that might sound wild on like the face of it,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a lot of
Yeah.
similarities between those two genres. And I think also those two genres are the ones that are doing the most interesting experimental stuff. And I think those are the two genres that are the most diverse. And we see the most inclusion in those two genres. So I
Mm.
think that's why I'm drawn to those, especially lately.
Okay, so then what do you look for in a book and how do you I don't want to say how do you make sure you find something you like to read, but like how do you kind of curate your list and like know that you're going to like the book you pick up or hope?
Yeah, I'm definitely a cover person, so I'm drawn to covers. I like something that's gonna catch my attention in that regard. And I'm a very plot-driven person, so if you have a
Yeah.
hooky, high concept premise, I'm gonna be into that, and that's gonna be something that pulls me in a little bit more than like a character study thing that I think
Hmm.
a lot of literary fiction is so fucking good and so well written.
Mm.
I do think the ones that tend to be a little bit denser and are sort of like almost slice of life but for a specific character, it's rare for me to pick that up because I struggle with feeling like I don't have like a narrative vehicle that's going to take me along and keep my
Mm.
interest because again the ADHD brain is not, it needs to be constantly stimulated, so I like
Yeah.
something that's going to do that.
Okay. So what is a book that everybody has told you you should read that you haven't yet read?
So there's two. One is The Compound, which is that one that's about
Mhm.
like a dystopian reality TV show, which is like everything I want in a book, obviously. Like
Wait, as I'm writing this down. Oh my gosh,
and
I've not heard of this.
it's on my e-reader. I'm like planning to hopefully get to it when I'm on tour. So that's 100% something I need to read. And then the other thing is Buffalo Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones, which is, I
Mhm.
mean, I love his books. I love his stuff, but
Okay.
I also know that it's going to emotionally destroy me. So I've been like procrastinating reading it. It's on my shelf and I look at it every day and
Okay.
I'm just like, am I ready to be destroyed? And the answer so far is not yet, but I will get
Mm.
there.
Mhm. And so, what's a book that you would suggest for people who want to start reading, like a gateway book into either a genre or just reading in general?
I think that depends on the genre, really. I think my gateway book was honestly probably The Hobbit, which my dad would
Mm,
read to us before bed when we were younger. And I actually have dyslexia, so I struggled a lot with reading
same.
and yeah, and writing. And so I think those
Mhm.
gateway books are really important for people who have those sort of like neurodivergent brains because sometimes it's hard
Yeah.
for us to like lock in or focus.
Yeah.
So I think it depends on the person too. Like I read a lot of fantasy when I was younger because one, it felt like a nice escape from the world, and two, because I think it kept my attention. And there aren't
Mm,
really like, there are now, but like when I was growing up, there weren't really like thriller middle grade
no.
books, or like there were
Yeah.
some thriller YAs, but like
Yeah.
they they were usually like very serious. Like they'd be stuff that's
Mhm.
kind of like was maybe too dark for me at the time. But
Yeah.
I think fantasy was sort of that stimulation I needed. So even though
Mhm.
I don't read a ton of fantasy now, I kind of think fantasy in general is like a good gateway
Yeah.
genre.
Okay. The next one I actually picked up at the Twisted Spine in Brooklyn
Mm.
like a couple weeks ago and finished it so quickly. It's called Guillotine by Delilah Dawson. It
Delilah Dawson is fantastic. I have not read that one yet.
it's like 200 pages. It's so short and it's basically an eat the rich horror novel about this young
Mm.
girl who dates this rich guy to get to his mother because she's in the fashion industry and she goes to their private island for a weekend and then all of the for lack of a better word servants on the family's island start killing the family and it was like ready or not it was so good
I was
so
gonna
good.
say, yeah, it's got some Ready or Not vibes there. Yeah.
It was very, very good. And then Her Last Breath by Taylor Adams came out this year, and it is a suspenseful thriller about two girls that go cave diving or do a caving trip and are being hunted during this trip. And it was so good, and the twist got me.
Yes, I think that one might also be loaded up on my e-reader because I like
Good.
I going in caves or like going underwater in caves is like the most insane thing I can think of ever doing. Like I don't understand that at all, and I was so excited
No.
to see a book like set in that. And I also loved No Exit. Like I remember reading No Exit when
One
it
of my
first came out
favorite
and
books.
being like, this is fucking mental, and I'm obsessed with it.
That's one of my favorite books of all time. Like that just, and the movie on Hulu was so disappointing, but
I didn't even watch
it
it.
was not good. But Her Last Breath, I will say, gave me that vibe. What book would you like to read again for the very first time?
I think I struggle with this one because I have a lot of book anxiety about like I want to read all the books and I know that's not possible because there's not
Mm,
enough like time in our life. But
yeah.
I like kind of don't want to read any book again, like if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
I've read it, I had that experience, it was special, and I don't like to necessarily like look back that much, and I just am so eager to go to the next book and have that experience again, but with something that's like actually new. That's sort of
Yeah.
like my mindset of like I just want to keep experiencing like I know there's a book out there that's like the perfect book for me and I'm like committed
Yeah.
to, so maybe I haven't found it yet. Maybe that's what it
Yeah.
is like I'm still on
Yeah.
the hunt for my perfect book.
No, that makes sense. I think about this often. So Netflix just came out with a Lord of the Flies like mini series,
I saw
and
that.
I started it and it was visually like very good, but it's one of my favorite books. And I've read it so many times at various stages in life, whether it be high school, college, and I have yet to read it as an adult. And I
Mm,
wonder, I want to, and then I wonder if it won't be as good. And then I think that same thing when it comes to like No Exit, for example. Like I remember
yeah.
being up in bed, like till the crack of dawn wondering what was going to happen in this book, and like I now know, so like I won't have the same experience, and like I don't know, so then I'm not a big rereader, but I always ask people, and I'm curious if they do.
Yeah, and I think about stuff like I remember when I read Gone Girl for the first time, obviously that like
Mm,
blew my mind. And now I'm wondering if like I erased that and I read Gone Girl again, if that would be like a completely different experience because like now that's not really like a
yeah,
new twist. It's not like a new experience. So there's
yeah.
some part of it that's like very dependent on the time and like the time in your life and what you were reading at that time and like how you reacted to the book during that point of your life. So it's like,
Hmm.
even if you erased the memory of it, I'm not quite sure you would have that same experience that you would have
Yeah,
had.
for sure, which is why I think a lot of times the books that we read as like kids or even young adults, when somebody's like, "Oh, I never read that," I want to be like, "Oh my gosh, you should read it and experience it." But I know as an adult, you probably won't have the same experience
Right.
I did at that age, and maybe
I'm
I'll
very
be
excited to
disappointed
see
if
you in
you hate
Brooklyn
it.
on
You know
June
what I mean?
1st.
So
But
but where can
I
people
don't
find you,
always
and
say
where
that.
can
But
they get your books?
Yeah, I will have a couple other events actually this
Yay!
summer. There's one in upstate New York in July, and then I will be at Haunt the Readers at the last weekend. It's like July 31st to August 1st. That's in Pennsylvania. So check that out. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you can find me at my website, saratogaschaefer.com. I also always have my events on my website. So if you ever want to see if I'm in your neck of the woods, you can find me there. And then you can find me on social media at Saratoga is here.